Meanwhile...
Is everybody here?
Yes, teacher.
Susie Sparrow?
Here, teacher.
Bertie Birdbrain? Here, teacher. The Canary Sisters?
Here, here, here.
Penelope Pinfeather?
Here, here. Here, here, here.
Today we're going to study about...
Ancient history.
Love and mystery.
Mathematics. Acrobatics.
Reading, spelling.
Storytelling.
No. The study of musical instruments is the subject for today.
The study of musical instruments is the subject for today.
Did you ever stop to think when the band plays rinky-tink where all the music comes from? From a toot and a whistle and a plunk and a boom.
That's where the music comes from.
Did you ever understand a symphony so grand, so bright and sentimental?
Mid-Valley Mutations.
And a toot and a whistle and a plunk and a boom
Are very instrumental.
For the horns go toot,
woodwinds whistle, the strings go plunk plunk too.
then the drums boom boom with the bing zing zoom.
And it comes out fine and true.
So remember what I say when the band begins to play. Just where the music comes from.
From a and a and a and a. That's where the music comes from.
And now, here's the host of Mid-Valley Mutations, Austin Ridge.
Check. Hey, how's it going out there in Radio Land? It's a special coverage version of Mid-Valley Mutations. Filling in for Jan Turkenberg, who is unfortunately out this week and can't do a show. So I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of what I call a retrocast. I've got some selections from a couple of old episodes from my pre-Sheena days, even. Whew. How long ago was that? And so, certainly going to do a few kind of older sounding things. When I was doing radio with my friend from the group Devilsclub, who would come in and do the radio with me, and we would kind of hook up some gadgets and have a lot of bleeping and blooping going along with the rest of our stuff. Anyway, let's get into it here, and you'll hear what I'm talking about, and then maybe I'll have a little more to say on the other side. It's a special early morning Mid-Valley Mutations covering for Frame Dougie Louder. Maybe this will be to your liking. Enjoy.
Fly with me to the dawn of history. We'll start investigating the toot and the whistle and the plunk and the boom. It's very stimulating. Four cavemen sat around one day, each with an instrument to play. Writing songs was their profession, performing at the first jam session. caveman blew through an old cow's horn, right then and there the first flute was born. Now let's look ahead in history. And here we are in Egypt in 2000 BC. When Pharaoh heard the cavemen honk, he gave the fellow quite a conk. The Egyptians had discovered brass. This gave the horn a lot more class. and straight, longer and lower too. But wait, someone found out the sound's the same, no matter what the shape or name. Valves give the trumpet extra sound.
Mid-Valley
That's where the music comes from.
Mutations.
Ah, yes. An oldie but a goodie, as they say. A little bit of a mix from the pre-Sheena days of this program. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find a home when you're in radio, and so you do what you can, where you can, and you have a good time while you're doing it, hopefully. But yeah, so this is a little mix that I did when my show was at a different location, different station, different studio, and at that studio we had these very cool dual turntables that a piece of wood kind of folded in over and made it look like it was a desk, and then you could unfold it, and it would that would be kind of like a back standing up portion to the turntables, and then inside you'd have the tables and the mixer and whatnot. It was very cool. And then you could also bring in your own gear, and so I think we probably had a third turntable set up for this one, if I remember correctly. And I think if so Horridus of the Devil's Club would join me for mixes like this. I think he would set up, like, because we had these like interesting drop points where you could have RCA inputs that you from your gear just right into the mixing board that I could then control in the radio studio. And so I'd give Horridus one of those with all of his gear, and then he'd have a turntable and I'd have the two, and we just kind of go nuts and have fun. I usually had a computer and then maybe an MP3 drive with a bunch of samples. Good times. And you heard in that mix a little bit of Hovercraft and Herb Alpert, Arthur Lyman, Martin Denny, Edmund DeLuca, and then that last track was a group called Unicode that I think Devil's Club was a fan of, and that's where that came from. Well, let's continue the mix here for this special coverage show for Jan, who is out this week. So I'm going to relive some old glories here on Sheena's Jungle Room and WFMU. Let's find out more about where the music comes from.
The horns were very long and straight, longer and lower too. someone found out the sound's the same, no matter what the shape or name. Valves give the trumpet extra sound. A French horn curves go round and round. Trombone smear is commonplace. And lowest of all is the double bass. Now, whether it's Dixieland or bop, a small cafe or a high school hop, the horn most always heads the band and rides it strong. Now, take off, man. Now back we go to ancient caves to see how the second man behaves. When this caveman blew on a tube of grass, the very first whistle came to pass. In order to make his cave girl smile, he had to improve his whistle style. And when he saw he was doing fine, he added more holes, about 8 or 9. his head instead of his feet, some genius found a way to beat this problem in a manner neat. With wires, pads, and pins aplenty, 10 fingers do the work of 20. The family of reeds has really grown. It now includes the bassoon, the oboe, the clarinet, and saxophone. Caveman plunked on the string of his bow. It was the first plunk, as far as we know. Now, from here, there are 2 ways to go. Plunk it.
We have a caller who took us up on the challenge on the line. Do you want to go ahead and just play along?
Sure. I don't know if I'll be able to hear the other music, but, you know.
Or play it with a bowl. Of the bowing instruments, there's the cello,
Yeah, it's still there.
Hey,
Totally here.
that was Uneasy Chairs live on the radio,
Brilliant.
mixing a little bit with. Which record are we mixing it with?
Actually, we are playing Orquesta Popular de Madrid. Actually, 100 Guitars is the name of this record. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were,
An oldie but a goodie.
yeah, you were jamming with other guitarists.
A little sample of what Mid-Valley Mutations used to sound like. Around 10 years ago, actually. That was with my bandmate and partner at the time, Horridus of devilsclub. And then that was Uneasy Chairs calling in to play guitar over the phone. And then we had all sorts of records being mixed into that section of the show. That was kind of more of our jazz beat, as it were. We had a little bit of Miles Davis, Ornette Coleman, John Coltrane, Pharoah Sanders, Alice Coltrane, and Jimmy Garrison, Rashad Ali, and Ray Appleton from some John Coltrane Greatest Hits record. And then, Horridus mentioned the 100 guitars. Fun stuff. I edited this show down from something a little bit longer because I wanted it to kind of play a little better all these years later. So the flab has been cut, as they say. But let's get back into it. We got one more little section here of where the music comes from, and then we'll start talking about some money. It's Mid-Valley Mutations here, covering for Jan Turkenberg's Frame Dougie Louder this week. And we're having some retrocasts. And we're having some fun.
renown has always been the beauty of the violin. For centuries is played by striking all the keys.
Mid-Valley
That's where the music comes from.
Mutations.
I think that I shall never see our poem as lovely as a tree, a tree whose hungry mouth is pressed against the earth, sweet flowing breath, a tree that moved had got her day and live highly. It home to pray. A tree that may in summer wear a nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately live with the rain. I'm made by fools like me, but only God can make her
bitter now? Are you bitter now?
And from this, harmony in numbers developed the musical scale of today. The scale is identical on any instrument. Of course, he probably played it on a lyre. The same on a trumpet.
Then what about Old MacDonald had a band?
Alright. And with this chart, I shall impart the instruments that MacDonald had. Now, our next subject for today is melody. snare drums needed, I'm afraid, to start a thrilling street parade.
Music Oriental.
The tune and the whistle and the pop and the boom
are very instrumental for the trombones too. Variety whistle, the band goes 1-2. When the drums boom boom with the click clack zoom in a Latin rhythm tune. So remember what we say when the band begins to play, where all the music comes from a toot and a whistle and a drum and a boom. That's where the music, that's where the music, that's where the music comes from.
Mid-Valley Mutations.
Ah, yes. A little blast from the past as we revisit That's Where the Music Comes From. A show I did almost 10 years ago now. Which sort of blows my mind and also seems like it must be an exaggeration because I'm sure it's been longer. Or shorter. Or both. I don't know. It feels like that's the wrong amount of time. I don't know how. Well, why don't we get into this next section of the show, another kind of retrocast. This one is called The Fictional Quality of Money. And what ended up happening here is that there was like essentially a 50-minute show before we could actually start because things were going poorly. We had equipment failures. Horridus showed up late. All sorts of stuff. But we were also in the situation where we were the last DJ of the night, and so we could go as long as we wanted, whenever we wanted, because there was nothing after us who was going to stop us. I mean, it went to a computer, but like live was better than a computer. We had this approved by the station, so that wasn't the issue. But yeah, anyway, so long story short, this is a better edit, more condensed, gets straight to the point when it comes to the actual performance. And this is not records being kind of mashed up like before. This is actual, like, we're playing instruments. Horridus has all of his modular synths. I have a couple of synths and a micro granny and some CDJs for samples. This is what we would do kind of in front of people when we would perform live as MK Ultra Megaphone. So why don't we get to it? It's a special coverage version of Mid-Valley Mutations, filling in for Frame, Dougie Lauder, and Jan, who need the week off. And so when they need the week off, we do stuff like this. Well, let's say a quick hello to our digital salon, actually. We got all sorts of folks hanging out. If you want to join the digital salon, come on in. It's fun. We're very friendly. You go to wfmu.org/Sheena, click the live listen and playlist link. You'll find us there. People like Wenzo and Jay Current and Tenacious Crow and Andrew in Toronto. Hey! There's all sorts of folks hanging out in the digital salon, so please come on in. We like to make some witty comments as we go. Now, let's get into this fictional quality of money while we still can, or at least as much of it as I can get to before we run out of time.
And this is Mid-Valley Mutations. MK Ultra Megaphone is in studio. I think we've gotten most of the obligatory stuff out of the way. And this one is called The Fictional Quality of Money. Enjoy.
This is the Federal Home Loan Bank Board building in Washington.
Let's suppose that for some perverse reason that we're interested in ruining an economy.
The members of the Bipartisan Bank Board are appointed by the President of the United States.
And a society. So to make the problem interesting, we should select a difficult case. So say not the Central African Republic, where it could be done very easily.
With the advice and consent of the Senate.
So let's pick a rich and powerful society. And best of all, let's select the richest and most powerful society in history, one with incomparable advantages, one that's fortunately close at hand, namely our own.
And consent of the Senate. One of the biggest jobs is to oversee the operations of the nation's insured savings and loan associations through regular audits and annual checks for compliance with government regulations.
So a good way to start is to ask what would be signs of a successful economy.
The board also maintains a strong reserve system of 11 federal home loan banks to serve all parts of the country. They act as money reservoirs for insured savings and loan associations. They advance money to associations to meet unusual or heavy demands, such as in times of flood or local disaster.
To begin with, it should have the people who are eager to work, plenty of badly needed work that should be done, and ample resources to combine idle hands with needed work.
Now, how safe are your savings at an insured savings and loan association? First, they're invested principally in sound first mortgage loans. Moreover, your savings are insured up to $10,000 by the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. An agency of the United States government, under the direction of that same board appointed by the President. Since it was established in 1934, no one has ever lost a cent in savings insured by this government agency.
And that picture sketch what a failed economy would look like, the opposite in all respects. And we don't have to look very far. Right here, there are tens of millions of people eager to work, but with no jobs. Many of them have simply dropped out of the workforce in despair. There are ample resources to provide employment, but they're hidden away where they cannot be accessed.
So, when you save at an insured savings and loan association, you can be sure that in addition to earning excellent returns, your money is safe.
In the overflowing pockets of the super rich in the corporate sector, particularly the big banks, which have been generously rewarded for having created a crisis serious enough to have almost brought down the domestic and even the global economy.
Backed by a strong reserve system, invested in sound home loans and government bonds, protected by government laws and governmental auditing procedures, and insured by an agency of the government. So when you open a savings account, look for this emblem of safety. It's the emblem of the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation.
And there are vast amounts of work to be done. The infrastructure is collapsing, the schools badly need repair, and teachers, the transportation and energy systems have to be radically reconstructed, and there's a great deal more ranging from construction work to scientific research.
like the money panic of 1970.
Ralph?
John.
Howdy. How's business, John?
You don't have to ask me. You know. It's bad, Ralph. Just plain bad. This here money panic's really getting to be something.
But the system is so dysfunctional that it cannot put eager hands to needed work using the resources that would be readily available if the economy were designed to serve human needs.
My customers can't pay their bills, but I gotta let them have groceries. They gotta eat.
Rather than wealth beyond the dreams of avarice for a privileged few.
But that wasn't what you wanted to see me about.
No, John, it wasn't. I'm afraid I have bad news for you. I'll give it to you straight. I'm having to call my loans.
You mean when my note comes due next week?
I won't be able to renew it, John.
It's actually hard to think of a more serious indictment of a socioeconomic system.
I've got to ask you to pay it off.
But Ralph, wait a minute. When you let me have that money, you told me that you'd renew the note when the time came.
Well, as you all know, the dysfunctional economy has been accompanied by very highly concentrated wealth, and with it, of course, political power follows at once from concentrated wealth. That in turn yields legislation that drives the cycle forward.
I can't lay my hands on any $2,000. You know that.
I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I've got to have it. All of it.
Inequality has reached historic heights. In the past decade, 95% of growth has gone to 1% of the population, actually to a small portion of those.
Well, what's going on here? I've sold groceries in this town. I've done business with you for a long time.
Meanwhile, the general population has faced stagnation or decline. The median real income in the United States is below its level in 1989. For males, median real income is below what it was in 1968.
I was good enough for that loan 3 months ago. How come I'm not good enough for it today?
The labor share of output has fallen to its lowest level since World War II, and poorer sectors have suffered severely. The United States has the highest poverty rate in the OECD, aside from Turkey, and that's perhaps not too surprising because the U.S. also ranks near the bottom in measures of social justice in the OECD.
You can't talk this way to me, Ralph. I'm not going to take it from you.
Look, let me explain this to you. This has nothing to do with you as a person or me as a person. It's this money panic we're in, John. It's got me just as much as it's got you. business of lending people money at interest.
Oh, why don't you keep on doing it?
That's just what I'm trying to explain.
For African Americans, household wealth has virtually disappeared during the latest crisis. We should recognize that the grim legacy of slavery, which is one of the original sins of American society, along with the virtual elimination of the indigenous population, that legacy has never been overcome. Some amelioration, but not much.
Here's how a bank like mine operates. You have a bank account here. We call it your deposit account. People like you deposit your dollars with us. You own those dollars. We hold ourselves liable to pay them back to you at any time. So from our point of view, your deposits are our liability, and that's what we call them, deposit liability. But until you want your dollars back, we can use them. That is, most of them. The law requires us to keep some of them as legal reserves. Roughly one reserve dollar for every 4 or 5 deposit dollars. The rest, lend or invest.
What's that got to do with calling my loan?
That's what I'm leading up to, John.
Well, these things didn't just happen like a tornado. They're the results of quite deliberate policies over roughly the past generation, the period of the neoliberal so-called assault on the population, which has had similar effects elsewhere as well. And that's hardly surprising either.
Now let's see what happened when I made you that loan of $2,000. You signed a promissory note for $2,000, and I credited your deposit account with $2,000. You didn't come and deposit $2,000 in cash. But you did give me your note for $2,000, and in exchange for your note, I created $2,000 of new deposit liabilities in your favor. This $2,000 is just as much of a liability to me as $2,000 you deposit in cash. I've got to back up both kinds of deposit liability with my reserve dollars.
The fundamental doctrine of neoliberalism is well expressed by Adam Smith, what he called the vile maxim of the masters of mankind, all for ourselves and nothing for other people.
That note of yours and others like it we call commercial paper. This paper and other kinds of paper, like bonds we buy and government securities we buy, make up our portfolio of assets.
If I get the drift of what you're saying, Ralph, you've got to have enough of what you call reserve dollars before you can make me a loan.
That's it, exactly, John. And this is where my correspondent bank comes in.
Correspondent bank?
Yes, a bank like mine usually deposits its legal reserves and other unused reserve dollars in a large city bank. Called its correspondent bank. bank operates the same way we do. It has deposit liabilities, reserves, and a portfolio, same as we have, only on a larger scale. In ordinary times, when you need bank credit, and I don't have enough reserve dollars to back up a loan I want to make to you, I just get some extra reserve dollars from my correspondent bank.
But how do you do that?
I either borrow them on my own promissory note or I rediscount some paper.
Rediscount?
Yes. Remember when you brought me Frank Lewis's promissory note for $100? I cashed it for you, didn't I? Discounted it for you.
Yes, and that was a mighty big convenience for me, too. To get $95 in ready cash on Frank's note. Right when I needed it.
I hate for you to find out about it this way.
Mid-Valley
But none of this is real.
Mutations.
The Fictional Quality of Money, an audio essay.
Ah, yes. This one takes me back for sure. It's Mid-Valley Mutations here, Sheena's Jungle Room, WFMU, filling in for Jan Turkenberg, who is unavailable this week. So I'm just here to help out, as they say. Offer a little entertainment for the morning. Oh, hey there. DJing with the window open means you get to hear the Mid-Valley as it wakes up as well. Or maybe you didn't. Who knows? I never know how loud those kinds of things are on the microphone until after the fact, when I can listen to it. So yeah, you let me know. Did you hear that? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, never mind. Anyway, Fictional Quality of Money. I like this one because I have I cannibalized parts and ideas of this from this show for the very first Mini Mutations record that I made, an actual lathe cut record that I had made and sold, and it was very fun to do that, and I have fond memories of making that record. It was very... I liked the idea of making my first record and trying to figure out what that meant and what that looked like and what it sounded like. And so, yeah, that was a long time ago now. I've done a lot of things since then. Would like to make another record, but making records is expensive. So I'll probably make another CD before I make an actual record again. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. It was kind of funny though to try to sell at shows a record called The Fictional Quality of Money, because people would look at me a little funny, and then they would actually look at the record itself and kind of pull it out and realize why I would think that was valuable. So, because I really tried to make it cool. I had collages on the inside of it, and it came with a zine, and I had designed covers and interiors and labels that were all kind of like thematically linked and connected in different ways. I was very proud of that record, and so I think when you saw it in person, you realized, oh yeah, I get it. This isn't just some music slapped onto something. So anyway, I got a little bit more of this mix left, and I'll try to get as much of it as I can to you before I gotta switch over to the DJ after me, because man, that Dime Store Radio Theater host is a whip cracker, as they say. He wants me to get on time, so I'm gonna do what I can to make sure that I don't anger that gentleman. But yeah, let's hear this last little bit of the fictional quality of money. Again, I think I mentioned this before, but I'll say for people who are curious, this was something that we made using modular synthesizers and samplers and a micro granny and some CDJs that I was using to loop different voices and whatnot. And I think I had my delay pedal in the mix as well. This was a fun show to do, and it took us a while to get it set up, but once it was it went well afterwards. So yeah, let's get back into it here. The last little section of Mid-Valley Mutations, covering for Jan Turkenberg and Frame Dougie Louder. I hope I'm doing something that would fit in with Jan's show. But who knows? Maybe I'm way off base. Either way, let's get back into the fiction.
I hate for you to find out about it this way.
Mid-Valley
But none of this is real.
Mutations.
The fictional quality of money, an audio essay.
Interest I charge you is what I call the discount. Well, just as I can discount a note for you, my correspondent bank can re-discount that note for me when I need extra reserve dollars. In other words, John, I can take some paper from my portfolio and offer it to my correspondent bank to re-discount it. When they rediscount it, they take it into their portfolio, just like I take your note into my portfolio. And they credit my reserve dollar balance, just like I credit your deposit account. And just like you can draw on your deposits in cash, I can then draw on my reserve deposits in cash. This cash is the kind of money you have in your pocket right now. Oh.
Well, there are alternatives. Nobel laureate in economics Joseph Stiglitz points out there are alternatives, but we will not find them in the self-satisfied complacency of the elites whose incomes and stock portfolios are once again soaring. Only some people, it seems, must adjust to a permanently lower standard of living, and unfortunately those people happen to be most people.
You mean like this national banknote? That's right. My correspondent bank is allowed to issue as many of these notes as it can back up with certain specified government securities. But Ralph, if they can print banknotes, how come they're short of money? You said they were short, didn't you?
Short the vile maxim at work. These developments should not be confused with idealized workings of capitalism and free markets. On the other hand, quite the contrary, policies are carefully designed to protect the masters from market discipline.
It's because they've issued all the notes they can against the securities they hold. They have no other way of issuing any more money. They're short. That's why they're calling their notes too, just like me.
Everybody's scared now. That's what it is. Nobody trusts anybody anymore.
It's always been true back to the 18th century, and to ensure that they can rely on the beneficence of the powerful nanny state that they carefully nurture for their benefit. But let's continue the exercise of this is figuring out how to ruin an economy.
Everybody that loaned money to anybody else just wants that money back right now.
Ways to proceed. So modern economies depend very heavily on R&D, research and development. Fundamental work that comes primarily from the dynamic state sector.
I've got to pay you, you've got to pay your corresponding Citibank.
And my depositors, John.
Which the advanced economy heavily relies. Almost most of the IT revolution, biology-based industries, and much else. Actually, that's a pattern that traces far back, but it's become much more critical since the Second World War.
People are drawing money out of my bank by the cartload.
It's just like I said, Ralph. Everybody's plumb scared. Everybody's got to pay his debts to everybody else. And then what? Do I have to go bankrupt? Does Bob Peters over at the drugstore have to go bankrupt? Have you got to go out of business? I'm asking you, Ralph, why do we have to be in a mess like this?
this man's country. There's nothing we can do about a mess like this we're in.
As the impact of science and technology on the society and the economy have greatly expanded. So a very good way to ruin the economy and the society would be to cut back on R&D, on federal R&D.
Sure, John, sure. There's something we can do about it. Cities have done it for many years now.
Done what?
Got themselves some sort of a central or reserve banking system where a bank like mine can always get reserve dollars when they need them.
For God's sake, man, why don't we do just that?
It's up to Congress, John. It's been up to Congress for close on 100 years.
A bank called the Federal Reserve Bank. That will be, in a very real sense, a banker's bank. A bank where ordinary banks can rediscount paper. A bank which will issue currency.
Banks that become members of the Federal Reserve System will always be able to get high-grade paper rediscounted at a Federal Reserve Bank.
And we can read about how that's done from the first issue of the AAAS Journal, American Association for Advancement of Science Journal, Science, first issue in 2014. Here's what it says.
They'll deposit reserves with a Federal Reserve Bank, just as they now do with their correspondent banks. And then, when a member bank takes paper to a Federal Reserve Bank for rediscounting, it will get its reserve account credited with the appropriate amount. Payable in our proposed Federal Reserve notes.
The 2014 budget will continue what has been a decades-long slide in the ratio of federal R&D in the budget to the GDP.
And this new currency will always be available because it'll be based on the very paper which is rediscounted with the Federal Reserve Bank. We propose to back this new currency dollar for dollar by rediscounted paper in the Reserve Bank's portfolio. And in addition, by the reserve system's gold reserve.
currency needed, the more paper will be offered reserve banks for rediscounting. And the more paper is rediscounted, the more Federal Reserve notes can be issued.
This ratio is often used as a measure of how much a nation values basic research. It's fallen 25% in the last decade alone, and that's continuing. In the meantime, elsewhere internationally, investment in science is rising.
In contrast to the present national banknote currency, based as it is on a fixed amount of government securities.
The rediscounting rate of a reserve bank can have fundamental and far-reaching effects on a country's economic conditions. Lower the rediscounting rate and you encourage bank credit. Raise the rate and you discourage bank credit.
The rates will be decided by each of the several regional reserve banks.
You propose not a single central bank, but a number of regionalized reserve banks, each serving the need of its own reserve district.
As nations throughout the world connect investment in R&D to the development of their human capital and their future prosperity.
And you made careful provisions for the local administration of each reserve bank by having the majority of directors chosen by member banks. And the rest by the coordinating commission, which you propose to set up in Washington. I suggest that this coordinating commission or board in Washington be strengthened and given ultimate responsibility for establishing and maintaining a national reserve policy, including the rediscounting rate.
For example, the European Union's flagship research program, Horizon 2020, is set to receive a nearly 30% boost in 2014. The Chinese government's investment in R&D has been increasing by percentages in the double digits for the last several years and is poised to become the world leader.
I am for a plenty of centralization, but not too much. Just enough to ensure that national problems will be handled in the national whether the sectional interests of some locality or other jump with the national interest or not.
To provide for the establishment of Federal Reserve banks.
To furnish an elastic currency. To afford means of rediscounting commercial paper. To establish a more effective supervision of banking in the United States.
You can draw the consequences without any comment. What's happening here is a very natural development of the imposition of the business model of seeking short-term profit. The future, the society, they're someone else's business.
But within a very few years, the Federal Reserve's main task was generally recognized to be even greater. And today its main task is to promote stability in the country's economy by using its influence to bring about increases or decreases in the country's banking reserves.
Another way to undermine a healthy economy.
'When money threatens to get too scarce, Federal Reserve authorities act to make more reserve dollars available. When money threatens to get too plentiful, they act to make less reserve dollars available. There are 3 forms of action they can take. Lower the rediscounting rate, and you encourage bank credit. Raise the rate, and you discourage bank credit. Second, reserves may be increased or decreased by the open market operations of Federal Reserve banks. When a Federal Reserve Bank goes into the open market to buy government securities for, say, $1 million from a securities dealer, the dealer deposits the Federal Reserve check in his bank. The bank sends the check to the Reserve Bank for collection, and the Reserve Bank in turn credits that bank's reserve balance with $1 million. In other words, by buying $1 million worth of securities in the open market, the Federal Reserve Bank adds $1 million to the reserves of member banks. Just as if it had rediscounted $1 million worth of paper from their portfolios. And on the other hand, by selling $1 million worth of securities in the open market, the Federal Reserve Bank decreases member bank reserves by $1 million. In recent years, open market operations have far overshadowed other methods of bringing about increases or decreases in banking reserves. Finally, under more recent changes in the law, member banks can be required, within prescribed limits, to increase or decrease the ratio of their legal reserves to their deposit liabilities. Thus, changing the amount of reserves available for backing up bank credit. Business drops off in volume after Christmas, rises around Easter, drops off again during the summer, then rises again at harvest time and at Christmas. In the days before the Federal Reserve System, the interest rates people paid for many bank loans follow this seasonal swing closely. And even in normal times, there used to be a very great difference between the low and the high interest rates for any year. Through the Federal Reserve System stabilizing influence, the seasonal swing in money rates had flattened out.
Open market operations should be coordinated for the system as a whole. As you know, these operations have grown to be more important than all other methods of credit control, like the rediscount rate, for example.
But who decides, Senator, whether the country's credit conditions call for buying or selling in the open market? Is any one man that matters?
No, and that's just it. No one man, nor any one reserve bank is that wise. That's why this bill sets up an open market committee on which both the individual reserve banks and the Federal Reserve Board of Governors will be represented. Because the Treasury's job is to procure money for the government, and naturally they want to borrow it as cheaply as possible. The Treasury is not primarily responsible for general credit conditions. The Federal Reserve System has the responsibility for credit policy. And that's why it should not be subordinated to any other government agency in doing its job.
Well, I think that's going
is to encourage the growth of financial institutions, giving them free rein by deregulation and using state power to underprice risk.
I guess there was another sample. Yeah, that's going to be the end of that, I think. It's Mid-Valley Mutations here on Sheena's Jungle Room, covering for Jan Turkenberg and the framed Dougie Lauder, which could not be here this week. But I believe we'll be back next week, so do not fret. We also have Dime Store Radio Theater coming at its normal time in a few minutes here. It looks like I'm going to end on time, which is nice, because I was worried that those pieces were not going to all fit together in 2 hours, and then they did. So, look at that. Look at that. Sometimes my math does math. Correctly, that is. Coming up on the show shortly, you want to tune in soon, because we're going to have an interview with Mr. Mike Watt himself. Again on September 8th. This is the second time he's been on our program. He's promoting a tour, actually, that he's going on. That's going to be like a 23-date West Coast tour with a brand new combo. the first time this combo is going to play live in front of people is the first date of this tour. So it's a new act, new kind of situation for him. But I think if you are familiar with the work that he's done in recent years, you're going to love this. So we talk about that tour. We talk about some other stuff that we didn't talk about the first time around when I had him on the show. Other projects and groups and things like that he worked with, things that I've always been a fan of. That's going to be a lot of fun. So please tune in. That's going to be on the show on the 8th of September. And then, I think we've got some other cool things happening here and there, including the return of Arvo Zylo to the program, doing another DJ set. That's going to be a lot of fun. Trying to have some more live stuff on the show if I can, because I think one of the things that makes radio interesting is that you can be of the moment when possible. And so certainly having guests and things like that, and people who are able to kind of come in and talk about timely things, that is a very cool and interesting thing that I think we need to do more of on the radio when I can. And certainly I want to be able to pre-record things now and then, but the combination of the two. Let's just pinch a line from the Big Brother and the holding company. Anyway, what can I say? You guys are wonderful. You guys are beautiful. And without you, there would be no show. And tune in tomorrow for the full, real, actual episode of Mid-Valley Mutations this week. One that is not a retrocast. Be seeing you.
As we continue this slog through late-stage capitalism, it is not all doom and gloom, though it might feel like the end of the world far too often. Not just in an attempt to find a silver lining where there doesn't seem to be anything positive, we quickly forget some of the cultural boons that we can say have helped. A new value has been placed on things money cannot buy, and concerns about quality and durability have re-entered the conversation. A distrust of financial systems has been bred into the younger generations, and the dollar itself is no longer the towering, dominating force it once was. But more importantly, there is a realization that the rich and powerful in this country only have one dimension to their value as people: wealth. When considering the financial class system, and the perception we have culturally of it, the rich are at the bottom, subject to ridicule and mockery, and certainly have less value when we consider those who are working to better our world. What late-stage capitalism has taught us is not how to succeed in business without really trying, or how a penny saved is a penny earned. Rather, the large swath of humanity, those who have never known any kind of financial security, have continued to create art and culture and dance and songs in incredible abundance.
Mid-Valley.
Building a world that will be left behind. Finally, when look at our childish past, and decide to abandon capitalism.
Mutations.
Forever, as if it were a bad habit, like smoking, or infidelity.